So in the aftermath of that, obviously there was that Ken Hinkley, Jack Ginnivan, Sam Mitchell, James Sicily episode, which took off and really took the gloss off the weekend of footy, which was, well, awesome, really.
Yeah.
So the Port Adelaide team was actually fined $20,000. It wasn't Ken Hinkley himself. Port Adelaide was fined $20,000 for conduct unbecoming.
Unbecoming of what?
Well, I'm assuming a coach or unbecoming of the league or whatever it might be. But that was what happened coming out of the match. But I don't know, $20,000 for a bit of sledging on the ground?
I think it's totally insane. I actually didn't know that. I thought it was a Ken Hinkley fine. I didn't realise it was a Port fine. But I think either way, I think it's just insane that anyone's being sanctioned for that.
I'll play devil's advocate here and say that I'm all for it. Whether maybe it should have been suspended or something. Yes, the biggest put the whole hat on of we're the top of the tree, and there's plenty of other football being played at all the other levels below us. I know from you probably know from secondhand or playing footy and junior footy. Some of the worst incidents we see out there are post-match. People not getting off the field. People So what Ken Hinkley did, I see where you guys are coming from saying it's a huge blow-up, but that is the one part of the game where once the siren blows, there should be no more combativeness between the two opposition. And to have a leading head coach go out there and sort of, yes, it didn't kick off and nothing sort of started. But
it was
to
so
do something like
overblown.
that, I'm very much with the AFL in terms of once the game is over, we shouldn't see any incidents of two teams sort of having a verbal fight or an actual fight, because that is when dangerous situations happen.
So I'm at the game, right? And when you're at the game, it's very easy to miss these things, especially when you're working. The game's finished. It's obviously a close finish, and I'm trying to work. So you're not really seeing this. You're not on the broadcast. They're not talking about it. And I didn't realise at the time, and we were talking about it afterwards, and you mentioned it, and that's when I had to go back and see what had actually unfolded. But before I saw what happened, I started to read on social media. It's probably a dangerous thing to do. And it was like the Matt Crouch thing. Remember I said, I heard what Matt Crouch, and I thought, oh my God, he must have punched a fan. Oh my God. I thought, what's Ken Hinkley done? Has Ken Hinkley gone over and punched James Sicily in the face? And I watched it back and I thought, hang on, that can't be the whole clip. I'm stunned for two reasons. One, that it's been blown up so as the story of the weekend. Two, the amount of ex-players and ex-coaches and ex-everybody that is just coming hard at Ken Hinkley. I don't see any problem with it.
What do a lot of those players and coaches have in common?
Well, that's the other thing. They're all ex-Hawthorn. But I don't see anything wrong at all with what Ken Hinkley did. It was a bit of passion. It's in the immediate aftermath of the game. He made a cheeky comment addressing the cheeky comment that came their way during the week. I have no issue with what Jack Ginnivan did, and I don't have any issue with what Ken Hinkley did. And I think if you're happy with Ginnivan and not Hinkley, that's so hypocritical. How can you be all for one and not for the other? And the other part of it, which I just thought was insane, was we're talking about Jack Ginnivan. Sam Mitchell, I just gave Sam Mitchell praise. He's been my coach of the year. I think he's a fantastic coach, tactically brilliant. But Sam Mitchell sitting in the press conference talking about Jack Ginnivan like he was 5 years old being abused by a 60-year-old man. I mean, give me a friggin' break. What's he talking about? Jack Ginnivan's a 21-year-old AFL footballer who's been in the system for 4 years. He's got, considering his standing in the game as a quality of player, everyone knows who he is. He's brought that on himself, which is fine. And I don't see, if you ask Jack Ginnivan, were you offended with, I don't think he would give a crap. I really don't think he would care.
It wasn't Ginnivan that bit back, it was Sicily.
I understand. That's my point. Yeah. I don't think he really cares. I think he's happy to chirp, and he can cop it back the other way. Now, I just think it's totally overblown. I think the fine's ridiculous. I take your point about we don't want things to happen at the junior level or any level.
I think post-siren is when put a line through it.
I also think it's one thing to go up and start shoving someone. It's one thing to say you're not flying to Sydney or whatever it was. I just think it was so overblown.
Multiple things can be true in this instance. And I think there are some people who are in one camp or the other, but multiple things can be true. Ginnivan and Hawthorn have baited teams and players and all year.
Yeah.
The Port players and coach and fans have a right to respond to that, I guess.
They do, and they did.
Mitchell has a right to say what he wants in the press conference.
Mitchell can
and
say
Hinkley
what he
apologised immediately.
He did.
And And the fine was ridiculous considering the apology came immediately. I think overblown's great, but the theatre was awesome as well, wasn't it?